Hello, everyone. Welcome to the contributors meeting. I'm Leo, and I'm going to be your host today. And starting off with triage and discussions. So last week we had myself and Ishita for doing triage. So I took a look yesterday at the issues that we have. Nothing stood out. Just one person opened an issue asking if we could use if we could have a better configuration in our Go mod in Argo CD repo, because he's using Argo CD as a library and he's having a hard time with the way that we expose our Go module. So that was an interesting one. I upvoted. I think it makes sense what he's asking, and it would help future users who wants to use Argo CD as a library as well. So nothing blocks them for doing so. And we could have a better support for that use case. So other than that, only usual stuff, a lot of application set related issues I see, but nothing in particular. So that's it for me. I'm not sure if Ishita is in the call.
Same thing, Leo. Nothing stood out that's different. So yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Ishita. All right, so okay, moving forward, we need to select the next group of people who's going to be leading the triage for next week. So on any volunteers in the call? Someone for primary, secondary? Otherwise, I go by the list. Jesse, no. Shitan, are you in the call? No. Alex, not there.
I'll volunteer for primary.
Primary?
Yeah.
Yeah, is that you?
Yes.
Thanks, Jan. Where are you? Okay, and for secondary, anyone? John, not in the call. Abhishek, are you in the call? Jaideep?
Well, then let me maybe nominate someone.
Okay.
I'll nominate Akram.
Akram, okay.
That's a
Thanks, Akram.
Thank you, Jan.
Is he in this list?
No, I don't think he's yet in the list.
Red Hat, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Cool. All right. Okay, with that out of the way, let's move on for the topics. We just have one from Michael. Michael, want to lead this?
Sure. I was just reading an issue yesterday about ignoring differences in application updates. And since I was recently looking at the ignore differences code that is used for resources and applications, I thought, hey, this could actually be pretty easily cross-applied to applications in an application set. So I just put up a proof of concept PR. This section that you're currently scrolled to, Leo, is the section of the docs that explains the feature. So
okay. You want me to go at this specific point?
Yeah, that section, it jumps kind of weirdly. If you scroll up a bit,
yeah,
here it is.
Okay.
So basically the idea is it supports a subset of the ignore differences rules or fields that are available for application resources. So first thing I did was I changed the name to ignore application differences just to avoid confusion. I added the JSON pointers field, the JQ expressions field, and the name field. So you get the usual JSON pointer, JQ expression support, and I added name just in case folks want to ignore differences for a single app. That name isn't a glob. I have the feeling people are going to want to template that field or make it like a label selector later or something, but I think it's a fine start. I didn't add anything for managed fields, or there's maybe obviously group and kind are hard coded since the only thing we're going to be ignoring are applications. Yeah, so that's basically the feature. It goes a little bit against the like hardcore GitOps mode of application set, because it's like, you know, you can make changes and they'll actually stick and the application set controller won't override them. But I think it makes sense to be pragmatic, especially since like application set basically destroys the rollback feature unless you configure this. Because if you do a rollback, the application set controller is just going to come right back through and reapply the changes. Anyhow, that's the feature. I'm curious if people have comments, concerns. My main concern in the implementation is I'm doing a lot of marshaling back and forth between JSON and structs because I need to convert from like an application struct to an unstructured to run it through the normalizer. Maybe there's a better way to do that that I'm unaware of, but you know, it works right now, so that's a start.
Quick question, Michael. I work in the ignore difference implementation for manager. Any reason why you're not adding that for this one?
Yeah, because I have no idea what that feature does.
Okay. All right. And
does it make sense to add it? I don't know.
Yeah, okay. I can work with that with you in that front if you want. But I'm just curious to understand what is your strategy. So if you configure the application set with ignore difference, if I remember well, the application set creates Argo CD applications, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can't you translate the same ignore difference that you have at the application set at the application resource, and then you get that feature automatically applied?
So within the application spec, the ignore differences field refers only to the resources which are managed by that application, not the application itself. So I could add a rule to my application spec to say, okay, for group kinds, Argo Project V1 Alpha 1 application, ignore changes to the sync policy.automated field. Fine. That configuration is not going to have any effect, and the application set controller is not going to respect that rule, because that rule is only with respect to resources managed by the app, not the app itself. This new field.
Oh, you want to ignore difference in the application resource itself?
Yeah, exactly. So if people like want to quickly disable autosync because they're doing some tinkering, or they want to change the target revision to a different branch, they can do that without the application set controller clobbering it.
I see. I thought you wanted to have ignore difference in the resource managed by the generated applications.
No, that you could do anyway, just by setting that field in the application template.
Right. Okay.
This takes it up a level. Sorry, go ahead, Jan.
So yeah, I had also a question. So I first of all, I think this is a really great feature. I think it's it's very useful, and I've heard from people that are using external tools, like for example the Argo CD image updater, right? You basically couldn't have unique dedicated image updater annotations on the applications managed by application set, because the application set controller would override them from the template again. So and this potentially is also valid for other third-party external tools that would somehow modify an application resource. One question I had is, so the ignore application differences, will it also, like, does it only apply to fields that have not been specified in the template, or will it also work for the fields that are specified in the template?
It will work for both.
For both, okay.
Yeah, so the way it works under the hood is we have this utility function called diff.normalize. It accepts a list of live unstructures and a list of what it calls configured unstructured, like the desired state. And then you pass in your diff config, and what it spits out is the desired state, excluding any changes that were made by the config state.
Yeah, cool. Oh, that's
one thing that this might hide. This feature might hide an issue that I think we still need to fix, which is that templating is still pretty limited in application sets. So whereas people could theoretically have a field in, say, a get files generator config file to turn automated sync on or off, and they could like really truly get ops that setting. Since templating is pretty limited, people may choose just to ignore differences to that field and make the changes solely in the cluster instead of in Git. So we still need to fix templating where you can do more interesting things like toggle automated sync, but this is at least a band-aid to help folks
well,
out.
I think this discussion, like, the true GitOps way of things, I guess, there's a portion in the docs, in the Argo CD docs, that says leave room for imperativeness, right? Like if you look at how the horizontal port autoscaler works, for example, I guess it's fine to have some leaving that room for imperativeness somewhere. So
yeah,
exactly. I really dig this feature, this ignore application difference. It's great. Thanks.
Cool. Anything else for this? Any other comments, someone?
One small note, Leo, the ignore differences feature in general has bugs when it comes to the respect ignore differences equals true sync option. And I think it has to do a lot with the fact that we have like home built diffing logic when we actually construct the patch to apply the normalized diff. Blake Pedersen is trying his level best to improve our diff function, but I think that he might benefit from your help since you know a little bit more about how diffing is done in a way that respects like what do you call them? Like field keys in a list. So like a list of name value pairs. Our logic doesn't currently respect stuff like that. So I can point you to the PR that he's working on and kind of talk you through that. I don't think it's going to impact this feature, but working on this just got me thinking about the other feature as well.
Okay, so you mentioned a bug. Is this the one that we have here in the doc?
Yeah, that's the one. That's the issue, but then the PR itself is, I just pasted the PR in the chat.
Didn't see you here. Hi, Blake.
Yeah.
Things not working with ignore difference and respect ignore difference true. Okay, yeah, I'm aware of this. I'm not aware of the bug. I'm aware of the feature. Okay, so I can take a look at this. And so you're working on this, Blake? Is that right?
Yes, exactly. I put this in, I guess it ties into next topic / question, because Mike was mentioning that the gist of it is that when it comes to array entries, they need to be keyed by like a merge key, like by their name usually. And the gist of it is, I mean, trying to dig through this is that if we do not properly group array entries by like a certain merge key, in some cases, basically things would get borked. So basically what I'm trying to do is, what I'm working on now is trying to properly group the entries by name. But then the question leads into like, is that going to be sufficient? Are there, I mean, I'm sure there's going to be more edge cases where this may or may not work, but from what I've been doing has been working on array entries that have names and then basically group by names in order. But I still need to work on it. I mean, I have a failing test case in that PR, which I will need to get working. So that's one. I mean, I've been working through it, but there was this guy that was helping out with some test cases, which was very helpful. But there's definitely going to be more dragons on the way. So we can discuss that at a later time.
Well, this is the issue itself. Is there a PR open for this as well or not?
Yes, there's a draft PR.
This one?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay. Okay, I can work with you on that if you want as well. No problem.
Awesome.
Blake, just curious, are you hard coding name as like a merge key, or do you have some way to like infer the merge key for a field?
As of this moment, no. As of this moment, it's hard-coded name. I would need some input on what we do in terms of the merge key.
Cool.
But that's definitely a topic of discussion there.
I don't think that's a terrible solution. It would be sweet if we could like actually respect the proper merge keys for a given CRD, but that may just be way overboard.
All right. So okay. So apparently we're gonna be working together in a few PRs, Blake.
Nice. Good stuff.
Cool. All right. So any other topic? Anyone? Any last minute topic someone wants to bring? We have a few minutes.
Test the RCs. I'm gonna push a bunch of stuff today. Oh, Blake, we need to cherry pick the other problem that you fixed. You're fixing a lot of problems lately. And then I think we can cut another 2.8 RC, which will contain a lot of fixes.
So we're gonna have one additional RC, Michael. Is that what you're saying?
At least one. I think we'll have actually knocked out all of the blockers by this next RC, which
Cool.
means we'll have like a full week of hopefully the final RC.
There's one caveat, because there was one which I was working on, which has been really frustrating because locally running let me see if I can grab it. This is the one where the Helm in the repo server with the check in for Helm, basically to verify that the Helm project or that the Helm repo has actual permissions. So there's PR for that, but the issue there, let me just get that one out. The issue there is that I have yes, loose and source not permitted Helm errors. So the background here is that we want to be able to surface Helm repos where there's not actually permissions in the app project to access this, because what happens is before it enters the repo server, the repos which do not have the permissions are filtered out. Problem is that works a bit too well, and I have a fix. This one, the issues that I have in this one is that locally I can run the end-to-end tests, it works fine, but then here in CI it's not, which has been incredibly frustrating. So either there needs to be some way of surfacing this, either surfacing this locally, or actually fixing this, or rolling back the previous PR. So that's probably something else that needs to be addressed.
True, forgot that this one's a blocker. I will help you with the E2E test. Exactly when, that might depend. We should talk and make sure that we have enough time before August 7th.
Yes, and I will, and the sooner the better, because I will be, next couple weeks I'll be quite constrained in terms of time. So now's the time. Well,
Cool.
not now, but definitely like within a week or two, I will not have time to do anything.
Cool. I'll make it ASAP then.
All right, thanks, Blake. Any other topic someone wants to bring?
Yeah, there is two PRs that I have mentioned in the chat right now. One of them is a 14381. Yeah, they are both related. So this is about so the subject is auto-respecting airbag for discovery and sync. So basically, when there is airbag preventing watch of some type of resources, the idea is to make the dynamic client to ignore these resources to be watched in order to save resources on the API server side and also on the application controller side. Yeah, so I have been investigating some performance issues that are creating a few cases that we have received from customers. And I was looking at this one as a potential improvement that we can introduce, sorry. I think that Jan has started the review of this PR. And yeah, I wanted to raise your attention about this one as a potential proposal for performance improvement. I'm not the author of the PR of the two PRs, but this is something that can be interesting. I have done a few tests on my side with the build of this one, but until now I'm not able to have a stable cluster to test that properly. Every time that I try to increase the load of my cluster, I'm breaking the cluster. So I don't think it is related to this specific PR. But I would be interested about. I would be interested in a review of a few folks for this one.
Yeah, looking at the changes in GitOps engine, it introduces a client in the cluster cache. Yeah, I think this needs to be reviewed carefully. So it does not introduce performance issues or anything like that.
Okay, and yeah.
What is the impact of this one, Kran?
The impact, you mean? So I think that it should improve. Yeah, Ishita is mentioning another way to improve performance, but the impact would be that there would be less of dynamic clients watching some specific resources that would be created and maintained alive on the application controller side. So we should have less throttling happening on the client side, and we should also consume less resources on the API server side. The thing that I was wondering also, and I didn't see that in the code exactly, but someone maybe with better knowledge can see that. If a resource is ignored from being watched by this current PR, and it's excluded, I think that the exclusion is final. So even if we add the permissions later on, I don't see it as being reintroduced as a potential watch.
Okay, so there is an existing proposal for that. And you're not the driver.
No, I'm just like a collateral tester, I would say, because it's I'm interested in having some improvements in performance. Right. So I was looking into this as a potential helper also.
Okay, and you're willing to take the task to review the GitOps engine and test it, Prime? Because
yeah, this is something I'm working on, so
okay.
I can bring something on top of this. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thanks for bringing this up. Yeah, it looks a good one.
If I review this, it's going to be kind of late in the 2.9 cycle. I'm not going to have time for a while. So we may have to hunt around and see if we can find another final reviewer.
Okay.
Okay. Any other topic someone wants to bring? No, if not, I'll give those minutes back on your day. And thanks everyone for attending, and see you all next week.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.